The pawn shop owner slid the tray toward me like it was nothing. Except it wasn't nothing. It was my engagement ring. How did it end up here? Who sold it under my name? And why did the receipt already have my signature on it? "I remember you," he said, tapping the printed invoice. "You were in here earlier this week." "No, I wasn't." I leaned closer. The name read Angelica Munoz. The signature looked like mine, but too clean, too careful, like someone had practiced it. Then my phone buzzed. "Bella, we need to talk. Please don't make this worse." Worse. I looked back at the ring Marcus gave me, the one he said was forever, and realized this wasn't just theft. Someone in my family had planned this. If you're watching from outside the US, tell me where you're from and what time it is there. I'm in Chicago, and this was the moment I realized trust can disappear faster than anything you own. Subscribe if you've ever had to learn that the hard way. I asked the owner to hold the ring for 24 hours and left before I said something I couldn't take back. Outside, the air felt heavier than it should have. Chicago in late afternoon usually had a rhythm, traffic humming, people moving with purpose, but everything around me felt distant, like I was watching it through glass. I drove home on autopilot. Marcus was at the kitchen counter when I walked in. Sleeves rolled up, laptop open. He looked up and smiled out of habit, then stopped when he saw my face. "What happened?" I set my keys down slowly. "I found my engagement ring." His expression shifted from concern to confusion. "Okay. Where?" "In a pawn shop." That landed exactly the way I expected it to. "What?" He stood up immediately. "How is that even possible?" "I'm trying to figure that out," I said, pulling out my phone and showing him the photo I took of the receipt. "It was sold 3 days ago. Under my name." He leaned in, scanning the details. "That's your name, yeah?" "But it's not my signature," I said. "Or at least, not exactly." Marcus zoomed in, studying the curves of the letters. "It's close." "Too close," I replied. "Like someone practiced it." He looked up at me. "Okay. Then whoever did this knew you well enough to copy you." That wasn't a comforting thought. I turned and walked straight to the hallway closet, reached for the small lockbox on the top shelf, and brought it down. Marcus followed, quieter now. "Angie, when did you last see it?" 2 nights ago," I said, already punching in the code. "I took it off before bed." The lock clicked open. Empty. For a second, I just stared inside. No panic yet, no anger, just blank. Then it hit. "It's gone," I said, even though that was obvious. Marcus exhaled slowly. "Okay, let's slow this down. Who knows the code?" "No one," I said automatically. Then I paused. "Angelica," he said, softer this time. I closed my eyes for a second. "Bella asked me about it a few weeks ago. She said she wanted to get something similar and asked how mine worked. I didn't think." "You told her the code." "I showed her. I corrected, though. That didn't make it better. I didn't think she'd remember it." Marcus didn't say anything right away, which I appreciated. He just nodded once. "Has she been here since then?" "A couple of times. Once when I wasn't home. I gave her a spare key last year when she said she needed a quiet place to study." The words sounded worse out loud than they had in my head. My phone was still in my hand. Bella's message stared back at me. "Please don't make this worse." I pressed call. She answered on the 3rd ring. "Hey." No apology, no hesitation, just casual. "Where is my ring?" I asked. Silence. "Then I was going to call you." "You already texted me," I said. "Now I'm asking you a question." I could hear movement on her end, like she was pacing. "I didn't sell it." I let out a short breath. "Bella, I just came from a pawn shop. There's a receipt with my name on it." "I said I didn't sell it," she repeated, her voice tightening. "I just needed to take care of something." "What does that mean?" "It means it's temporary," she snapped. "You're going to get it back." "How, by buying it back?" "It's not like that." "Then explain it." I said, my patience thinning. "Because right now it looks exactly like theft." She exhaled sharply. "I had a situation, okay, I needed money. Fast. I thought I could fix it before you noticed." You didn't think I'd notice my engagement ring was missing. You don't wear it all the time, she said quickly, and I wasn't going to keep it. That's not the point. It is the point, she shot back. I wasn't trying to hurt you. You broke into my lockbox, I said, each word controlled. You took something that doesn't belong to you and you sold it using my name. That's not borrowing, Bella. She went quiet again. Then softer. You're overreacting. Marcus looked at me from across the room, his jaw tightening. Am I asked. Because this is fraud. You always do this, she muttered. Do what? Make everything legal and dramatic, like you're the only one who understands consequences. I swallowed the first response that came to mind. This isn't about me. This is about what you did. I needed help, she said louder now, and you weren't there. You didn't ask me. I shouldn't have to beg my own sister, she said. You didn't give me the chance. Another pause. Heavier this time. Then she said, you owe us. I blinked. What? You left, she said. You built your life, your career, your perfect little engagement, and you think that means you're done with us. This isn't about that, I said. But my voice had shifted. Less anger, more disbelief. It is to me, she replied. I took a breath, forcing myself back to the point. Where is the money? It's handled. That's not an answer. It's not your problem anymore. It became my problem when you used my name. She didn't respond. Bella, I said quietly, what did you do? A long silence stretched between us. Then I'll fix it. How? I said I'll fix it. The line went dead. I stared at my phone for a second, then set it down on the counter. That didn't sound like a plan Marcus said. No, I replied slowly. That sounded like someone who already made a bigger mess than she can undo. I opened my banking app without really thinking. Just instinct. At first glance, everything looked normal. My checking account, my savings, no large withdrawals. Then I noticed a small transfer. Easy to miss. But the name attached to it made my chest tighten. B. Munoz. And underneath it the memo line, loan payment, partial. I stared at it, the pieces starting to shift into place. This wasn't random. This wasn't panic. Bella didn't just take my ring. She was trying to pay something off. And whatever it wasn't small. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that receipt again, my name, my signature, my ring behind glass like it belonged to someone else. By the time the sun came up, I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. At work, I went straight to Lena's office. She was already at her desk, coffee in one hand, scrolling through something on her screen. You look like you've been hit by a truck, she said without looking up. Worse, I replied. I need your help. That got her attention. 10 minutes later, I was sitting across from her, sliding my phone over with the photo of the receipt. I walked her through everything: pawn shop, missing ring, Bella's call, the fake signature. I left nothing out. Lena didn't interrupt. She just listened, her expression tightening the more details I added. Okay, she said, finally turning her monitor toward me. Let's start simple. She zoomed in on the signature. See this? She pointed at the first letter. The A in Angelica, yours, usually starts with a heavier downstroke. This one is lighter, like someone copied the shape but not the pressure. I leaned in. I wouldn't have noticed that on my own. And here, she continued tracing the curve of my last name. Your M dips slightly on the second stroke. This one is almost symmetrical. Too clean. So it's fake, I said. It's a good fake, she corrected. But yeah, someone studied your signature. That sent a chill through me I wasn't expecting. Can we trace where it came from, I asked. Maybe, she said. Most pawn shops use digital systems now. If this receipt was generated through one, there's a login trail. IP address, timestamp, maybe even the device used. Can you access that? She hesitated. Not directly, but if the owner cooperates, or if this turns into a formal complaint, yes. I asked him to hold the ring, I said. He seemed reasonable. Good, she nodded. Then we have a starting point. Marcus had texted me earlier asking how things were going. I told him I'd update him later. Right now, I needed to stay in this headspace clear, methodical. Run it through, I said. Lena logged into a system I didn't fully recognize, something internal to compliance that she'd used before when we had vendor disputes. She input the receipt number, then waited. A few seconds passed, then the screen populated. Okay, she said, scanning quickly. Here we go. She pointed at the first line. Transaction timestamp 3 days ago. That matches what you said. Right. User login. Looks like a temporary account. That's not unusual for smaller shops. IP, I asked. She scrolled. Here. I leaned closer. The address didn't mean much to me at first, just a string of numbers. But Lena clicked another tab cross-referencing it. Public Wi-Fi, she said. Registered to a cafe. Which one? She clicked again. A map popped up. I felt my stomach tighten. I knew that place. Bella goes there, I said quietly. All the time. Lena glanced at me. That doesn't prove she made the receipt. I know, but it didn't feel like coincidence either. Wait, Lena said, scrolling further. There's more. She clicked into the account details tied to the transaction. Email used to create the login. She paused. What? Her expression shifted, something between confusion and disbelief. This doesn't make sense. Just say it. She turned the screen toward me. The email address was right there. Elena.Munoz72. I stared at it, my brain taking a second to catch up. My mom, Lena nodded slowly. That's what it looks like. That has to be a mistake, I said immediately. Bella could have used her email. Maybe, Lena said. Or maybe your mom is involved. I shook my head. No. She wouldn't, but the sentence didn't finish. Because I didn't actually know that. I leaned back in the chair, exhaling slowly. This is getting complicated. Yeah, Lena said. It is. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Lena said, do you want to file a police report? I thought about it. About Bella's voice on the phone. About my mom. About the way this was starting to spread beyond one bad decision. Not yet, I said. Lena raised an eyebrow. Why not? Because I don't think I have the full picture, I said. And if I move too early, they'll shut down. I need to know exactly what happened. And if what happened is worse than you think, I met her gaze. Then I'll deal with it. But I'm not going in blind. She nodded slowly. Okay, then we keep digging. I stood up, grabbing my phone. I'm going to talk to them again tonight. Be careful, Lena said. If your mom is involved, this isn't just about your sister making a bad choice. This is coordination. I know. As I walked out of her office, my phone buzzed again. A new email from the pawn shop owner. Subject line, seller documentation, as requested. I opened it immediately. Attached were scanned copies of the ID and paperwork used during the transaction. The first page loaded. Driver's license. I froze. It was Bella. Her photo, her name, her address. So she had been there, but that wasn't what made my chest tighten. It was the second page. The authorization form. I zoomed in on the signature line. My name was there again, Angelica Munoz, in that same too-perfect handwriting. And just below it, a second signature. Witness. Elena Munoz. My grip on the phone tightened. This wasn't just Bella trying to fix a mistake. This was planned, and my mother had signed off on it. I didn't call them. I drove. The kind of drive where you don't turn on music, don't check your phone, don't even think about traffic. You just go. My mom's house hadn't changed in years. Same trimmed hedges, same porch light that always came on too early, like it was trying to prove something. Bella's car was already in the driveway. Of course it was. I didn't knock. I used my key and walked straight in. They were both in the kitchen. My mom Elena was at the counter slicing something with slow, controlled movements. Bella was sitting at the table, her leg bouncing under the chair. They both looked up at the same time. For a second, no one said anything. Then my mom smiled. Angelica, you should have called. I closed the door behind me. I did. Bella looked down at the table. I walked into the kitchen and set my phone on the counter screen facing up. The email was still open. Explain this, I said. My mom didn't look at it right away. She wiped her hands on a towel, calm as ever, then stepped closer and glanced at the screen. Nothing in her face changed. "That's your sister's business," she said, handing the responsibility off without hesitation. Bella's head snapped up. "Mom." "No," I cut in. "It's not just hers." I tapped the screen, zooming in on the bottom of the form. "That's your signature." My mom finally looked at me directly. "Yes," she said. No denial, no hesitation. Just yes. The word landed harder than if she'd tried to lie. "You witnessed a forged authorization," I said, slowly keeping my voice steady. "You signed off on someone pretending to be me." "I signed off on helping your sister," she replied, just as steady. "That's not the same thing. It is in this house." I stared at her, trying to understand how she could say that, like it was reasonable. Bella pushed her chair back slightly. "I told you I'd fix it," she said, her voice smaller now. "Fix what I asked. 'Cause right now what I see is theft fraud, and both of you acting like it's a misunderstanding. It's not fraud," my mom said, her tone sharpening just a little. "You're exaggerating." "Am I?" I turned the phone toward her again. "That document says I authorized the sale." "I didn't. That's the definition." My mom crossed her arms. "We weren't trying to hurt you." "That doesn't make it okay." Bella finally stood up. "I needed money," she said, louder now, like repeating it would make it more valid. "For what I asked." She hesitated. My mom stepped in before she could answer. "That's not your concern." "It became my concern when you used my name," I said. "So yes, it is." Bella looked between us, trapped. "It was just temporary," she said again. "I was going to get it back before I noticed I finished." She didn't answer. "Who else is involved?" I asked. Bella blinked. "What? You didn't do this alone?" I said. "There's a lawyer on the footage. Daniel Klein." That got a reaction. Not from Bella, from my mom. It was small. Just a flicker. But I saw it. "You brought him into this," I asked her. "He's a professional," she said carefully. "We needed to make sure everything was done properly." I let out a quiet, disbelieving laugh. "Properly." "You're making this bigger than it is," she said. "This was a family matter." "No," I said. "This was the decision you made without me using my identity to solve a problem you didn't want to deal with." Bella's voice cracked. "I didn't have a choice." I looked at her. "There's always a choice." She shook her head, tears starting to form. "You don't get it." "Then explain it to me." I said, softer now, but no less firm. "Because right now, all I see is you taking something that mattered to me and acting like I should just accept it." She wiped at her face, frustrated. "I was out of time." "For what?" She didn't answer. My mom stepped forward again, placing herself between us like she used to when we were kids. "That's enough," she said. "You're not interrogating her in my house." I held her gaze. "Then maybe you should have thought about that before signing your name on something that involves me." Silence filled the room, heavy, pressurized. Then my phone buzzed again on the counter. All three of us looked down at it. Another notification. This time, it wasn't a text. It was a message from the pawn shop owner. "Additional footage found. You may want to see this." I picked up the phone slowly. Bella's breathing hitched. My mom didn't say anything, but for the first time since I walked in, she didn't look in control either. I opened the message. "A video file. Still loading." I looked up at both of them. "Whatever this is," I said quietly, "it's the part you didn't tell me." Neither of them spoke. The video finished loading. I tapped it. And in the first frame before the clip even started moving, I saw something that made my chest tighten. Bella wasn't the only one standing at that counter. The video started playing. The angle was from behind the counter, slightly tilted, the kind of grainy security footage no one thinks about until they need it. Bella came into frame first. Hoodie hair pulled back, eyes scanning the room like she didn't want to be seen, but not enough to leave. Then someone stepped in beside her. Not Daniel Klein. Someone else. A man I hadn't expected. Who is that, I asked, more to myself than to them? Behind me, I heard Bella shift. "It doesn't matter." "It matters," I said, not looking away from the screen. The man leaned forward, speaking to Mr. Harris. I couldn't hear the audio, but his body language was confident, too confident for someone just helping. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't unsure. He knew exactly what he was doing. Mr. Harris pulled out paperwork. Bella hesitated. The man said something to her short direct, and she nodded. My chest tightened. He's the one who told you what to say, isn't he? I asked quietly. Bella didn't answer. I paused the video and zoomed in on the man's face. It took me a second. Then it hit. Rafael Torres, I said. Marcus's old contractor. The same guy Marcus had refused to work with months ago after catching discrepancies in one of his bids. Inflated numbers, missing line items. Nothing illegal on paper, but close enough that Marcus walked away. What is he doing there? Marcus asked from behind me, his voice low. He'd followed me in without me even noticing. I didn't answer right away. I was still watching the frame. The way Rafael positioned himself slightly in front of Bella. The way Mr. Harris looked at him, not her when he spoke. He's not just there, I said slowly. He's leading it. Bella's voice came out sharp. That's not true. I turned to face her. Then explain why he's the one talking. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. My mom stepped in. He was helping her, she said. That's all. With what I asked. Selling something that wasn't hers. With getting through a difficult situation, she snapped. I looked back at the video. Rafael slid something across the counter. Cash no, too thin. Paperwork. He pointed to a line. Bella hesitated again. Then she signed. My name. I felt something in my chest settle into place. Not calm exactly, but clarity. This wasn't panic, I said. This was arranged. No, Bella said immediately. He knew how pawn shops work. I didn't. So you went to him. She hesitated again. And that was enough of an answer. Why him, Marcus asked. Out of everyone. Bella wiped at her face, frustrated. Because he offered to help. When? A few weeks ago, she said. I ran into him. We talked. He said if I ever needed cash fast, he knew people. I let out a quiet breath. Of course he did. Marcus crossed his arms. That guy's been skirting the edge of legal for years. I didn't know that. Bella shot back. You didn't ask, I said. Silence. I turned the video back on. This time I watched the details. Rafael leaned in again, speaking quietly. Bella nodded. Then Mr. Harris asked something. Bella froze. Rafael answered for her. That's when I saw it. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. Flat. An ID. He placed it on the counter. Mr. Harris picked it up, glanced at it, then at Bella, then back at Rafael. Approved. My pulse kicked up. Pause as it, Marcus said. I already had. I zoomed in as far as I could without losing the image completely. The ID wasn't Bella's. It wasn't mine either. But the name, I felt my stomach drop. Daniel Klein, I said. My mom went very still. That's his ID. I continued turning the phone slightly so she could see. Your lawyers. Bella shook her head quickly. No, that's not. It is, I said. Rafael brought a lawyer's ID into a pawn transaction where my identity was being used. Marcus looked between us. Why would he need that? I didn't answer right away. Because I already knew. This wasn't just about selling the ring, I said slowly. It was about making the paperwork look legitimate enough that no one would question it. Bella's breathing got heavier. I didn't know about that part. Then what part did? You know, I asked. That I needed money, she said, her voice breaking. That's it. For what? She didn't answer. Again, I stood there for a second. The phone still in my hand, the paused frame staring back at me. Rafael, the ID, the forged signature, my mom's witness line. All of it connected, and none of it looked temporary. You said you'd fix it, I said quietly. Bella nodded barely. How? I'll get the money back, she said. I'll buy the ring back. With what money? She didn't respond. Because she didn't have it. I looked at my mom. You knew this wouldn't work. Her expression hardened. We knew it would be enough. Enough for what? To buy time, she said. The words hung in the air. Cold. Precise. Time for what I asked. She didn't answer. Bella let out a shaky breath. I told you. It's handled. No, I said, shaking my head. It's not handled, it's hidden. I picked up my phone again, reopening my banking app. That transfer was still there. Loan payment. Partial. Partial, meaning there was more. How much do you owe? I asked. Bella's eyes filled again. It's not. How much? She swallowed. Then, barely audible, it started at 15. 15,000, Marcus asked. She nodded. And now I pressed. Silence. My mom stepped in again. That's enough. No, I said, turning to her. It's not. Bella finally said it. 38. The number hit harder than I expected, not just because of the amount, because of what it meant. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a one-time bad decision. This was a pattern, and someone had been feeding it. I looked back at the paused video at Raphael standing there like he owned the moment. He didn't just help you, I said. He set you up. Bella shook her head weakly. No. He said he could help me consolidate with what I cut in. More loans, more deals like this. She didn't answer because she didn't know, and that was the worst part. I locked my phone and set it down slowly. This doesn't end with the ring, I said. No one argued, because now we all knew the same thing. The ring wasn't the problem. It was the entry point, and whatever Bella had gotten into, it was already deeper than any of us had admitted. I didn't stay for dinner. There was nothing to eat anyway, not in the way that mattered. By the time Marcus and I got back to the car, the silence between us wasn't tense. It was focused. The kind of quiet that comes right before a decision. He used Klein's ID, Marcus said finally. That's not normal. That's not even smart unless you think no one's going to check. Or unless you've done it before, I replied. Marcus glanced at me. You think this is a pattern? I think it's a system, I said. And I needed to see how deep it went. The next morning, I didn't go straight to work. I went to Lena first. She didn't ask questions when she saw my face. She just closed her office door and said, Tell me. So I did. The video, Raphael, the ID, the number Bella finally admitted. 38,000. Lena leaned back slowly. That's not pawn shop money anymore. That's debt structure. Meaning someone's extending credit, rolling it over, adding fees, pushing her deeper so she can't get out. My stomach tightened. And Raphael's part of that. Very likely, she said. And if a lawyer's ID is being used even without his direct involvement, that's a problem. A big one. I nodded. I want to talk to him. To Klein, yes. Lena studied me for a second. You're not walking into that alone. I won't, I said. But I need to hear what he says when he thinks I don't already know everything. An hour later, I was sitting in the reception area of Daniel Klein's office. Glass walls, clean lines, the kind of place that tries to look transparent without actually being it. His assistant gave me a polite smile. He'll be with you shortly. Of course he would. When he finally came out, he looked exactly the same as always. Composed, controlled, slight smile like he already knew the outcome of every conversation. Angelica, he said, extending a hand. This is unexpected. I'm sure it is. I replied, not taking it. Something flickered in his expression, small but there. He gestured toward his office. Come in. I sat across from his desk, placing my phone face down in front of me. I didn't start with accusations. I didn't start with emotion. I started with a question. Do you recognize Rafael Torres? Klein's smile didn't disappear, but it changed. I've heard the name. Have you ever worked with him? Not directly. I nodded once like that answer meant something. Then maybe you can explain something to me, I said, sliding my phone across the desk and pressing play on the video. He watched. Didn't interrupt. Didn't react. But I was watching him. And when the moment came when Raphael pulled out the ID, Klein's eyes shifted. Just slightly. Recognition. He looked back at me. Where did you get this? That's not the question I said. The question is why your identification was used in a transaction involving my property. That's not my identification, he said smoothly. I held his gaze. Then you're saying someone fabricated a legal ID with your name and credentials. A pause. Not long, but long enough. I'm saying He replied carefully that I was not present at that location and I did not authorize anyone to act on my behalf. Interesting, I said, because the paperwork from that transaction includes an authorization form. My name is forged. My mother signed as a witness, and somehow your credentials made it into the process. His expression tightened just a fraction. That sounds like a serious allegation, he said. It is, I agreed. Silence stretched between us. Then he leaned back in his chair. What exactly are you asking me, Angelica? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I'm asking how involved you are. I'm not, he said immediately. Not at all. Not in the way you're implying. I let that sit. Then help me understand the way I should be implying, I said. Another pause. This one longer. Finally, he said, your sister came to me. That wasn't what I expected. She what? She came to me about a financial issue, he continued. Debt. Urgent. She was looking for options. Options like selling my ring under my name. I advised her against anything illegal, he said. But I also told her that certain assets could be leveraged if handled properly. My jaw tightened. Assets that didn't belong to her. I didn't verify ownership, he said. That wasn't my role in that conversation. Convenient. And Raphael, I asked. He's someone who operates in informal financial spaces, Klein said carefully. People like your sister often get referred to individuals like him when traditional options are no longer available. So you pointed her in his direction. I made an introduction, he corrected. The difference meant nothing to me. And the ID? Klein's expression hardened slightly. If Raphael used my credentials without permission, that's a separate issue. Is it, I asked? Or is it part of the same system? He didn't answer that. Instead, he said, you should be focusing on helping your sister resolve her debt. That's the real problem here. There it was. Shift the focus. Minimize the fraud. I leaned forward slightly. No. The real problem is that multiple people made decisions involving my identity without my consent. That's what I'm focusing on. His eyes held mine for a moment. Then he said something that changed the direction of everything. You're assuming your sister was the only one who came to me. I didn't move. What does that mean? He hesitated, just enough to confirm it mattered. Your mother reached out first, he said. The words landed quietly, but they hit harder than anything else he'd said. She was the one looking for solutions, he continued. Your sister was the one in immediate trouble. But your mother, she was trying to manage the situation. Manage. That word again. I sat back slowly, the pieces shifting into a different shape now. This wasn't Bella making a bad decision. This wasn't even Raphael exploiting an opportunity. This started earlier, with my mother. And what solution did you give her, I asked. Klein's expression didn't soften. It was never meant to involve you directly, he said. I felt something in my chest go very still. Then why does every document have my name on it? He didn't answer. Because he didn't need to. I already knew. I picked up my phone and stood. This isn't over, I said. I didn't expect it to be, he replied calmly. As I walked out of his office, one thing was clear in a way it hadn't been before. Bella wasn't the center of this. She was the pressure point. The real decisions, the planning, the coordination, the justification, that all came from somewhere else. And for the first time since this started, I wasn't just dealing with a mistake. I was dealing with intent. I didn't go back to the office. I went somewhere quieter, a small conference room Lena sometimes used when she needed to review sensitive cases. No windows, no distractions, just a table, 2 chairs, and a whiteboard. It felt appropriate. I laid everything out. The receipt, the forged signature, the video, the ID, the email logs Lena had pulled. And now Klein's statement. Marcus joined me an hour later. He didn't interrupt while I walked him through it. He just listened the same way he did when something mattered. So your mom started this, he said finally. I think she escalated it, I replied. Bella was already in trouble, but Mom, she turned it into a plan. Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Why? I didn't answer right away. Because I already had a theory. I've always been the stable one, I said slowly. The one who figured things out. The one who didn't need help. And in her mind, that makes me available. Marcus frowned. Available for what? For fixing things I said, even when I didn't agree to it. The words felt heavier the second they were out loud. Lena, who had been standing by the whiteboard, spoke up. That's not just emotional, that's financial behavior. I looked at her. She picked up a marker and wrote one word, flowful. Then she started drawing arrows. Let's map this, she said. Debt comes in here. She tapped the left side. Bella's gambling or whatever she's involved in. That creates pressure. She drew an arrow forward. Pressure leads to short-term fixes. Borrowing, quick cash, high-interest sources. Another arrow. Then someone your mom steps in and says, we need to manage this. Not eliminate it, manage it. Marcus nodded slowly. Keep it contained. Exactly, Lena said. Containment often means shifting assets around, using whatever is accessible. She underlined the next word. Access. I felt my stomach tighten. She had access to me, I said. Not just access, Lena corrected. Predictability. She knows how you think. She knows what you'll tolerate. More importantly, she knows what you won't do, which is, Marcus asked. Burn everything down immediately, Lena said. She's counting on time. That word again. Time. She said that, I murmured. She said this was to buy time. Lena nodded. Because time lets them patch things. Move money, shift blame, create alternate explanations. Marcus leaned back. And the ring was just the fastest asset they could liquidate. Yes, Lena said. But here's the problem. She circled the entire diagram. This only works if the person being used doesn't push back legally. I looked at her. You mean me? She met my eyes. Yes. Silence settled in the room. Then Marcus said, so what happens if she does? Lena didn't hesitate. Then the entire structure collapses. I stared at the board. Flow, access, time. It wasn't chaos. It was a system. And systems have weak points. Bella, I said. Marcus looked at me. What about her? She's the one under pressure, I said. She's the one who can't keep this going. Lena nodded. If she cooperates, everything becomes easier to prove. And if she doesn't? Marcus asked. I thought about Bella in the kitchen, the way her voice cracked, the way she kept saying she'd fix it without knowing how. She's already breaking, I said. I reached for my phone. Then we talk to her again, Marcus said. No, I replied. We don't confront her. They both looked at me. We give her a way out. Lena's expression shifted. Meaning I don't go in as her sister, I said. I go in as the person who already knows everything. Marcus tilted his head. You're going to show her the full picture. Yes, I said, and let her decide which side she's on. And your mom, he asked. I didn't answer right away, because for the first time I wasn't thinking about convincing her. I was thinking about stopping her. She's not the conversation, I said finally. She's the case. The word surprised even me, but once they were out, they didn't feel wrong. Lena set the marker down. Then you need to be ready for what that means. I am, because once you go legal, she continued, there's no going back to how things were. I almost smiled. Not because it was funny, because it was already true. That door closed the second I saw my ring behind that glass, I said. Marcus reached for my hand, squeezing it once. So what's the next move, he asked. I looked at the board one more time, then back at them. I meet Bella alone, I said. Somewhere she can't run from the conversation. And if she shuts down, Lena asked. Then I move forward without her, I said. But I give her the choice first. Marcus nodded. When? Tonight. As I stood up, my phone buzzed again. A text from Bella. Just one line. He's asking for another payment. I stared at it, the words settling into place with everything else. Too late, I said quietly. Marcus looked at me. What? I locked my phone. They're not buying time anymore, I said. They're losing it. I chose the place carefully. Not my apartment. Not my mom's house. Somewhere neutral, public enough to keep things contained, but quiet enough that Bella couldn't deflect or walk away without making a scene. A small cafe near the lake. Early evening, half full. She was already there when I arrived. Sitting by the window, shoulders tense, phone in her hands like it might ring at any second. She looked up when she saw me. For a moment, neither of us smiled. I sat across from her and placed my bag on the chair beside me. "You came alone?" she asked. "Yes." She nodded like that mattered. "Good." A server came by. I ordered coffee I didn't plan to drink. Bella shook her head when asked. Silence settled in after that. Not awkward, just heavy. "I'm not here to fight with you," I said finally. Bella let out a quiet breath. That would be a nice change. "I'm here to give you a choice." That got her attention. She leaned back slightly, eyes narrowing. "What kind of choice?" I pulled my phone out and set it on the table screen, dark for now. "The kind where you decide what happens next." She didn't touch it. Because right now, I continued, this isn't just about the ring. It's about everything connected to it. Her jaw tightened. "I told you I'd fix it." "No," I said calmly. "You said that because you don't know how bad it actually is." "That's not. It is I cut and still calm. And I'm going to show you why." I unlocked my phone and turned it toward her. First the receipt, then the authorization form, then the video. Frame by frame. Raphael. The ID. The moment she signed my name, Bella's face drained of color. "I didn't know about the ID," she said quickly. "I swear I didn't." "I believe you," I said. That surprised her. She blinked. "You do?" "Yes," I said, "because you're not the one running this." Her eyes flickered, and that was all the confirmation I needed. "Then who is?" she asked, quieter now. I held her gaze. "Mom." Bella looked down immediately. "I didn't mean for it to get like this," she said, her voice cracking. "I know," I said. "That's why we're having this conversation." She rubbed her hands together, restless. "You don't understand. She said she could handle it. She said if I just followed through, she'd make it go away." "Make what go away?" Bella hesitated. Then she whispered it. "The debt. How much is left?" Her eyes filled again. 42. It had gone up. Of course it had. "And Raphael?" I asked. "He keeps calling," she said. "Or texting. Different numbers sometimes. He says if I don't keep up, things get complicated." "Complicated how?" She shook her head. "He doesn't say it directly, but you can tell." I nodded once. That matched what Lena had said. Pressure without specifics. Enough to keep someone compliant? "And Mom," I asked. Bella's expression shifted. Not fear this time. Something closer to guilt. She said this was the only way, she said. That you'd understand later, that you always do. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was familiar. She was counting on that, I said. Bella looked up at me confused. Counting on what? On me cleaning it up, I said. Without making it public. Without making it legal. Her face fell slightly. "You're not going to do that." I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. Printed copies. Every document Lena and I had put together. I placed it on the table and slid it toward her. "What is this?" "Everything I said. The transaction logs, the IP trace, the forged documents, the connection to Klein, the video." She didn't open it. "You're building a case," she said slowly. "I already have one," I replied. Silence stretched between us again. This time it felt different, more final. "I don't want to do this to you," I said. "But I'm not going to ignore it either." Bella swallowed. "What does that mean?" "It means you have a choice," I said again. She finally opened the folder. Her hands shook slightly as she flipped through the pages. "I cooperate," she said, reading between the lines. "Yes. And if I don't," I held her gaze, "then I move forward without you." She closed the folder slowly. "And Mom," she asked. "She made her choices," I said, "just like you did." Bella stared at the table for a long moment. "I didn't think it would go this far," she said quietly. "I know. I thought if I just got through this one thing, everything would reset." "That's how it works," I said. "Until it doesn't." She nodded faintly. Then she asked the question I'd been waiting for. "What do you need from me?" I exhaled slowly. "The truth," I said. "All of it. How it started. Every conversation, every message, every time Mom told you what to do. Bella hesitated. Not because she didn't want to, because she knew what it meant. "You're asking me to go against her," she said. "I'm asking you to stop protecting something that's hurting you," I replied. Her eyes filled again. "I don't know if I can do that." I nodded. "That's your choice." Silence again. Then she did something I didn't expect. She reached into her bag and pulled out her phone, unlocked it, and turned it toward me. A thread of messages. Dozens of them. From Mom. Instructions, reminders, warnings. One message stood out immediately. "Use Angie's name. It's cleaner. No one questions her." My chest tightened, but I didn't react outwardly. Bella's voice was barely above a whisper. "She told me this would protect me." I looked at the screen, then back at her. "No," I said quietly. "It protected her." Bella closed her eyes. For the first time since this started, she wasn't defending anything. She was seeing it, really seeing it. "I'll do it," she said. I didn't move. "Do what?" "I'll tell you everything," she said. "I'll give you the messages. I'll talk to whoever you need me to talk to." Her voice shook, but the words didn't. "I don't want to keep living like this." I studied her for a second. Then I nodded. "Okay." She let out a breath like she'd been holding it for weeks. But before either of us could say anything else, her phone buzzed. She looked down at it. Her face changed instantly. "What I asked." She turned the screen toward me. "A new message. Unknown number. Last warning. We don't wait anymore." I felt something shift again. This wasn't slowing down. It was escalating. By the time we left the cafe, the choice had already been made. Bella didn't say it again, but she didn't need to. She walked beside me instead of ahead of me like she used to when we were younger and didn't know where we were going, but trusted we'd figure it out together. This time, it wasn't about figuring things out. It was about documenting them. The next morning, I met Rachel Kim. Lena had referred her sharp, precise, the kind of attorney who didn't waste words or time. Her office wasn't polished like Klein's. It felt real. Papers stacked neatly, files labeled clearly, no illusion of simplicity. I handed her everything: the receipt, the forged signature, the authorization form, the video, the IP logs, the messages Bella had given me. Rachel didn't react emotionally. She just read, page by page. Every now and then she'd underline something, circle a name, mark a date. When she finished, she closed the folder and looked at me. "This is enough," she said. "Enough for what?" "Civil action," she replied. "Fraud, identity, misuse, financial exploitation. Possibly more depending on how far we want to go." I nodded. "And criminal." She tilted her head slightly. "Also possible, but that comes with a different process and less control over timing." Timing. There it was again. "I want control," I said. "Then we start civil," she said. "We file, we serve, we apply pressure. That gives us leverage." "And Bella," Rachel glanced at her briefly. Bella had insisted on coming. She sat beside me, now quieter than I'd ever seen, her hands folded in her lap. "She's a cooperating witness," Rachel said, "which helps. A lot." Bella nodded once like she was accepting something final. "And my mother?" I asked. Rachel didn't soften her answer. "Primary defendant." The words landed clean. No hesitation, no ambiguity. I felt something settle in my chest. Not relief exactly, but alignment. "What about Klein?" Marcus asked. He was standing behind us, arms crossed, listening carefully. Rachel considered that. "He positioned himself carefully. He'll claim advisory role, not direct involvement. But the ID usage complicates that. We include him. Let him explain it." "And Raphael?" I asked. Rachel's expression hardened slightly. "He's the operational risk, the one applying pressure. We move quickly on him." "How?" "We document the threats," she said. "Every message, every call. Then we put him on notice." Bella shifted beside me. "What if he doesn't stop?" Rachel met her eyes. "Then we escalate. Simple, direct. No empty reassurance." I appreciated that. Within 48 hours, everything moved faster than I expected. Rachel filed the complaint. Documents were served. Notices were sent. And suddenly the quiet system my mother had built wasn't quiet anymore. She called me the same day she was served. I let it ring, then go to voicemail. Her message came through a few seconds later. Angelica, we need to talk. This is unnecessary. You're making this bigger than it needs to be. I listened to it once, then deleted it, because for the first time I wasn't reacting to her. I was responding to the situation. Bella stayed with me that week, not because I asked her to, because she didn't want to be alone. The messages from Raphael kept coming at first. Short, vague. Then they changed. More cautious, less direct. Like he knew something had shifted. Notice works, Rachel said when I showed her. People like him rely on silence. Once there's a record, they adapt. And if they can't, I asked. She gave a small knowing look. Then they make mistakes. It didn't take long. A week later, Rachel called me in. We got a response, she said. From who? All of them, she replied. I sat across from her desk as she laid out the documents. Klein's response was exactly what she predicted. Careful language. No admission. No denial that could be pinned down. Raphael's was different. Short, defensive, and inconsistent. He contradicts himself twice in 2 pages, Rachel said. That's useful. And my mom? Rachel slid that document forward last. I didn't open it right away. Read it, she said. I did. The words were familiar in a way that made my chest tighten. Not the legal language. The tone. We acted in good faith. We were trying to protect family interests. Angelica has always been independent and capable of recovery. I closed the document slowly. She's still framing it like she helped me, I said. Rachel nodded. That's her position. It's not just a position, I said. It's how she sees it. And that, Rachel replied, is what makes it easier to challenge. I looked up at her. How? Because intent matters, she said. And her own words show a pattern, not just one decision. A mindset. A pattern. I thought about everything Lena had mapped out. Flow, access, time. It was all there. Documented now. Real. So what happens next? Marcus asked. Rachel leaned back slightly. We push, she said. Hard enough that settlement becomes their best option. And if they don't settle, I asked. Her expression didn't change. Then we take it all the way. The room went quiet. Not tense. Just certain. For the first time since this started, there was a clear direction. Not emotional, not reactive. Structured. Controlled. I nodded once. Then we push. Because at this point, it wasn't just about getting my ring back. It was about making sure no one could ever use my name like that again. The settlement didn't come quickly. It came carefully. Weeks of back and forth. Language revised terms, adjusted pressure applied in ways that didn't look like pressure from the outside. Rachel handled most of it, but she kept me in every decision. Nothing moved without my approval. That mattered more than I expected. For the first time in this entire situation, I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. My mother's side tried to hold their position at first. They minimized, reframed, suggested alternatives that avoided accountability, but sounded reasonable if you didn't look too closely. Rachel did look closely. Every time. Eventually, the tone shifted. The offers became less about justification and more about resolution. Full financial restitution, coverage of legal fees, a formal acknowledgement carefully worded but still there. No admission of intent, but enough to make it real. I didn't sign right away, not because the terms weren't sufficient, because I needed to be sure I understood what I was agreeing to, not just legally, but personally. Marcus sat with me at the kitchen table that night, the final draft in front of us. You don't have to rush this, he said. I'm not rushing, I replied. I'm deciding. He nodded once. What does it feel like? I thought about that for a moment. It feels finished, I said. Not fixed. Just finished. And that was enough. I signed the next morning. The ring came back 2 days later. Mr. Harris handed it to me in the same quiet way he had shown it to me the first time. No questions, no commentary, Just a small nod like he understood more than he needed to say. I held it in my hand for a long moment before putting it away, not on my finger, not yet. Bella moved out of my mom's house the week after the settlement. Not dramatically, no confrontation, just distance. She started therapy. Real therapy, not the kind you go to once to say you tried. We didn't talk about everything right away. We didn't need to. Some things take time to process when you've spent years not seeing them clearly, but she showed up, consistently, and that mattered. My mother called once more. Not to argue, not to explain, just to say, I hope one day you understand why I did what I did. I listened. Then I said, I understand it. I just don't accept it. There was nothing else to say after that. We didn't rebuild anything. We didn't pretend this was something it wasn't. We set distance. Clear, defined, intentional. And for the first time, that distance felt like peace, not loss. A few weeks later, Marcus asked me if I wanted to start wearing the ring again. I looked at it sitting in the box on the dresser. It still means what it meant, he said. I know I replied. But I also knew something else. It meant more now. Not just commitment, not just love, boundaries, clarity. The understanding that trust isn't something you give once and forget about. It's something you protect. I'll wear it, I said, when it feels like mine again. He nodded like that answer made sense. Because it did. This wasn't a story about a ring. It was about how easily people can justify using you when they believe you'll always recover, and how important it is to prove them wrong, not by breaking, but by choosing differently, by paying attention, by documenting, by acting with intention, and by knowing that protecting yourself isn't betrayal, it's responsibility. There's a difference between revenge and boundaries, and I didn't understand that until this happened. Revenge is about making someone else feel what you felt. Boundaries are about making sure they can't put you in that position again. For a long time, I thought being the strong one in my family meant absorbing everything, fixing problems, smoothing things over, not making things harder than they needed to be. But strength without boundaries isn't strength. It's availability. If you've ever been the person your family turns to when things fall apart, you know how complicated that can feel. There's loyalty, history, guilt, and sometimes love mixed into decisions that don't actually respect you. What I learned is this: you can understand someone's reasons without accepting their actions. You can care about someone and still choose distance. And forgiveness, if it comes, doesn't mean restoring access. If any part of this feels familiar, you're not alone. Share your experience, or just where you're watching from. And if you want more stories like this, stories about truth, boundaries, and quiet justice, subscribe and stay with me. This is a fictional story created for entertainment, education, and reflection.